Okay, so you run an SMMA and you've done up and you've pissed a client off. Now what? Hi everyone, I'm Jimmy from My Online Guy, and I have a digital marketing agency, and I've been doing it now for 7 years, and I help SMMAs like yourself improve service delivery. I'm not here to sell you anything. I just think it's a topic that needs to be talked about more. Okay, so what do you do if you've actually pissed off a client properly? And I'm not talking about the basics, you've missed a deadline or something like that. Let's say you've actually stuffed up, like not delivering on a guarantee, and I see this happening a lot. Some ludicrous guarantees in this space happen, and then 90 days comes around, 60, 30 days comes around, and you haven't delivered what you said you were going to. What do you do then? Well, what I see a lot of people do, and it's really a mistake, is they don't talk to their client. Now, the way you make big money in SMMA is by keeping clients and retaining clients, and I think we all know that. But the only way we can do that is if we communicate with our clients. So for those who don't know, I'm one of the coaches on Easy Grow, Charlie Morgan's course, and I do service delivery specifically. And we have guys come on to those calls and they ask a lot of questions about, I'm not getting results, what to do. And I need you to consider this. You really need to talk to your clients if you know that you're not going to get results. And I'm going to give you a bit of a framework to make sure that you don't upset them. But the reason you need to talk to your clients is you need to include them in the process. One of the biggest things you can do if you're going to miss a target is you can keep them in the loop so that you become partners in crime. And what I found is there's a lot of business owners out there that actually don't necessarily care about the guarantee. If they feel like you're putting in a lot of effort and a lot of energy and you're giving it everything you've got, generally you'll know more about social media marketing than they will. So they will just be like, yep, okay, I understand that we're missing this target, but what's the plan? And this is where most of yous get unstuck, is that you don't have a plan of attack. So what you do when you don't have a plan of attack, so let's say for instance, you're 60 days into a campaign and you know you're not going to get results. Instead of talking to the client, you just bury your head in the sand and go, I'll work it out once I speak to them. And that's the worst thing you can do. My suggestion is come up with a plan of attack and approach your client with it. And this is the framework that I would actually use, and I've used in the past, to be fair. So you're 60 days in, you're going to miss your mark. You need to have a plan on how you're going to hit the mark. So once you develop that, and we can make a future video on how you would develop that, but once you make that plan of attack, you then need to go to your client and go, Mr. Client, it's Jimmy here. I really just want to book a meeting with you just to talk about the progress of the campaign. Can I get 20 minutes? Can I get 30 minutes? Do this by email. It doesn't have to be by a call. The client will obviously say yes, because they're probably at this point haven't heard anything from you and they want an update. What you need to do when you go into that meeting is you need to acknowledge that you've missed the mark. That's the first thing you need to do. You're going to need to get the formalities out of the way. Hello, Mr. Client. Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully the wife's doing well. Mr. Client, the reason I got on this call for you is I just want to realign our expectations of this campaign. Now, from what I'm seeing, I feel like we're going to miss the mark on this campaign. Now, that's obviously not acceptable, and I understand that I committed to this and I will get you this, but against some unexpected issues that I didn't see coming. I've done this a lot, and these are issues that I just haven't seen. So firstly, I apologize. This is not ideal, I understand, but this is the plan that I've got to get us back on track. And then you lay out the plan. You go X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z. Now, I know this is an ideal client, but are you still committed to this? Because I certainly am, and I'm going to give this everything I've got. 99% of your clients are going to go, sure, that sounds like a plan. The other 1% that doesn't, that is like, you told me this, well, then you cross that bridge when you get to it. But that's how you mitigate having an upset client in the first place. If you've gone and stuffed up and pissed a client off, you've generally done it because you haven't communicated with them, and the only option they have is to be pissed off, if that makes sense. So my advice, if you have a client that's upset that you are going to miss the mark of, is to not get them upset in the first place. If you start communicating with them and you really act sincere and you really come up with a plan to get yourself and the client back on track, then you'll be surprised how accommodating clients actually are. And this has happened to me time and time again. You got to have losers. You got to have L's on your sheet. You never run undefeated. I've had hundreds of campaigns over the lifetime of my agency, and there's been a handful that have never succeeded. But I've never burnt a relationship with the client by not talking to them. I've always erred on over communicating in those points, to the point where they're like, yes, Jimmy, I get it. You're doing everything you can. Just leave me alone and get to work. And honestly, if you are sincere about that, then the clients will just leave you alone and let you get to work. I will say this though. Let's say, for instance, you haven't communicated and you're like, Jimmy, That's all good and well, and I'll do that next time. But what do I do now that I've pissed the client off? It's now gotten to 90 days and they're asking me questions and I haven't gotten them results. What do I do now? And that's a great question, and I'm going to give you the best answer I can. And that is, again, communication. You need to sit down with the client, even though there's a fear that they're going to hit you up on the guarantee. You need to sit down with them and you need to reassure them that you've done everything you possibly can. The worst thing you can do in that situation is not communicate, because all the client thinks that's happened is that you've done a runner. You really need to get better at communicating. If you'll get to the point where a client's really pissed off with you from a service delivery perspective, it's generally because you haven't communicated with us. So anytime you feel like you're not going to hit the mark or you're anxious about telling them something because of the outcome could potentially be really bad, you need to communicate and air your thoughts and act with sincerity and try and work out a plan to do better. If you can do that, you'll be very surprised how accommodating clients are, because the client knows that they can't do this stuff, right? The client knows they can't deliver on the service, and they're looking at intangibles for the reasons to keep you. Now, they're smart guys. They've probably worked with an agency in the past that's burned them, or they've tried to do it themselves and haven't gotten results. So if you're going in there and you're admitting that you haven't gotten the results you want and you're going to work extra hard to get them, they're smart enough to know they're not going to let you go, because it's very rare to find people that will bare their neck, admit they've stuffed up and work towards fixing it. They're business owners. They deal with that all the time. They've got staff that do that. You aren't the only problem on their list. All they want to know is that you're doing the best you possibly can to get them the outcome. And you will be very pleasantly surprised if you communicate from the very start and keep a client in the loop, how much they'll start backing you and how much they'll start supporting you to get results. And trust me when I say, the only time you'll really piss a client off is if you don't communicate with them. And it's a mistake that a lot of young SMMA owners will do, me included when I first started, is burying your head in the sand and hoping your client forgets. That is the single worst thing you can do, because all it does is put a big bullseye in your back and gives the client a reason to really start looking harder. So if you up, talk to the client. If you haven't f***ed up yet, talk to the client. It's really important to talk to the client, because you will eliminate 99% of the issues that pop up when it comes to service delivery with your clients. So I'm Jimmy from My Online Guy. If you like this kind of content and you want to learn more about service delivery, this one was just a quick ad lib one, but if you want to learn more about service delivery, make sure to subscribe, because I'm here to help SMMAs keep clients, retain clients, increase lifetime value, and make money. There's plenty of people selling this stuff out there, but there's very few people teaching people how to actually deliver the service. And if there's anything specifically you want me to talk about, leave it in the comments below and I can answer them in the next video. But thanks again, guys, for watching this. Make sure to communicate with your clients and you won't have this issue in the first place, and I'll catch you in the next video.